Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be looking at issue 43 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, which came with 5 Tree-Revenants for the Sylvaneth part of the collection. They will be deployed in our game as we will be chasing some movable objectives around the board in our battle report. So having a look through the magazine, first we have the great cycles. So the Sylvaneth, being creatures of nature, tend to see the ages of the world in a bit like the seasons of nature. So starting with the Age of Myth, where Alaria the Everqueen joined Sigmar's Pantheon of Order, and everything seemed to be looking up, but then coming of Chaos and the fracturing of the Pantheon put a downer on things. And then during the Age of Chaos itself, the Sylvaneth retreated into their sacred groves, much like the natural world might do in winter, as the forces of Chaos ravaged the realms. But in the Age of Sigmar, as the darkness started to be forced back, Alaria the Everqueen herself was reborn from her soul pod, and the Sylvaneth began to reawaken and take back some of their land. And now in the current era of the Beast, the vengeance of the Sylvaneth has been kindled, and they have struck out to destroy the interlopers and those who would desecrate their sacred lands. Now we have quite a fun in-universe section on the perils of chaos, written by one brother Mushar, a devoted servant of Sigmar. At the start of a multi-part article, we're warning about the insidious threat of chaos. There's a backstory here about the origins of Sigmar, who was said to have once been immortal, who established a great empire. This caused the jealousy of the dark gods of chaos, who established the largest army the world has ever seen. And it's said in this kind of in-universe mythology that Sigmar defeated their great champion, but his final blow shattered the world, which is not quite what happened if you have actually read the End Times story from the old Warhammer Fantasy setting, but there's quite an amusing little note there. And there's a little bit also about being especially vigilant for the signs of chaos, so that you don't draw the attention of the witch hunters. Now the battle record for the new Tree-Revenants. These are essentially the infantry of the Sylvaneth, tree spirits who fight to defend the sacred places, and they make up the majority of the Sylvaneth households. As usual, you can some tables to roll on them, so there's one for their home glade here. And over the page, as usual, some traits and some deeds you can keep track of. In their build guide, they have quite a lot of variant parts. There are lots of different weapons, swords and glaives and axes and things, and different arms you can give them. And these are mostly interchangeable, so you can use them, so you can build them as you prefer. And they're mostly fairly straightforward to go together. Like most of the Sylvaneth, you do have to be a little bit careful with some of the spindly, fragile parts, but as long as you're careful clipping them off, it shouldn't be too bad. It also has the instructions for the command group, that being the Waypiper, the Banner Bearer, and the Scion, the unit leader. And then their painting guide is much the same as Ilthari's Guardians from a couple of issues ago. So starting with a base coat of Catachan flesh, and then using Wraithbone and Auric flesh. And Corax white for the spirit parts, corn red for the outline of the banner, which has a slightly different colour, and then Griffcharger grey, and a couple of other shades to colour those areas. Now they are up to this point. So now I'll hand you over to Mike, who will show us their war scroll and take us into our game.
So no new rules for this issue, but we do have a new unit, so we have a new war scroll for the Tree-Revenants. So they're actually fairly similar to Ilthari's Guardians, got a 5-inch move, 2 wounds, a 5+ save and 6 bravery. They have enchanted blades, which have a 1-inch range with 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 damage, or the Scion, who is the unit champion, can have a protector glaive instead, which is basically the same but does 2 damage. And they can also have a standard bearer, which allows them to pile in up to 6 inches when they pile in, rather than 3. And the musician essentially allows them to redeploy during the game, so you can remove them from the battlefield, and then when you do, you set them up again more than 9 from all enemy units. And then they have the martial memories rule, which is the same as the Ilthari's Guardians, where once per battle round they can receive all-out attack or all-out defense without the command being issued and without a command being spent. So here you can see tutorials for those abilities. So you can see there for the standard bearer, so the unit does still have to be within engagement range in order to be able to be eligible to pile in, but once they do, they can pile in 6 inches, so they can get more of them into range, which you'll need because they only have a 1-inch weapon range. And then the example of the musician with the Waypiper there, allowing the unit to redeploy just as long as they're more than 9 from any enemy models. And martial memory, as I said, is the same as Ilthari's Guardians. You get a free command every turn. And then some background for today's game, where a small group of Stormcast have encountered some sort of strange Duardin mechanism, a sort of spider-like thing made of gold and brass scuttling about. And obviously these are very strange things, and they don't want the forces of destruction to be able to get them. And then we have our army choices. So once again we have a few preset units and then 2 options. So for the Alliance of Order, we have the Knight Arcanum and the Arch-Revenant, and then option 1 is between the 5 Vindictors or 5 Vigilors, whereas option 2 is between the 6 Griffhounds and 5 Tree-Revenants. And for the Alliance of Destruction, we have the Killer Boss with Stabgrot and Swampcrawler Shaman with Potgrot, and option 1 is between 10 Gut Rippers or the 3 Bolt Boys, and option 2 is between Molog and his mob, or the Marshwaller Sloggoth. And then we can get on to our Battleplan Duardin mechanism, so you can see the entire thing here. We're just using the 1 battle match. You can see our new one down the bottom, with the Order territory in the left-hand quarter, and Destruction on the right-hand quarter, and then 2 objectives along the centre line. So we pick our armies from the choices on the side. We're only using 4 pieces of terrain this time, which have to be more than 3 from other objectives or other scenery pieces. The Order player sets up first, order within their territory, and then the Destruction player sets up their army. Destruction player chooses who goes first. So the game will last 5 battle rounds, and then we get victory points. You get victory points at the end of your turn. You get 1 if you control 1 objective, 1 if you control 2, and 1 if you control more than your opponent. And our special rule, because these Duardin contraptions have a habit of getting up and moving around, at the end of your turn, if you control an objective, your opponent may move that objective up to 6 inches, but that happens after you score points for it, so no sneaky shenanigans there. And then once again we have some playthrough highlights of Ian and Eve, so you can pause and have a look through there as we'll get into the game. And here we are in the realm of metal. You can see I've got our 2 objectives. They're not quite in the centre, they're sort of on the pre-printed ruined sky vessels. We've got 4 terrain pieces set out. We've got some sinister crystals in the bottom right, arcane skull and skeleton on the left, the deadly baby Sarlacc in the top left, and the damned weird green glowing pool. So you can see my deployment and my 2 unit choices. I went for the Gut Rippers for numbers and the Sloggoth because it's pretty durable and it gives a nice aura bonus. And I also got the Killer Boss and the Shaman. The Killer Boss will be my general. He'll have the Skilled Leader command trait for a possibility of extra command points, and he will also have the Amulet of Destiny for a 6+ ward. And the Shaman will know Flaming Weapon, and I will take the Inspired Triumph.
And here you can see my deployment and my choices. So I went with the Vindictors over the Vigilors because there's going to be a lot of melee combat, and the Tree-Revenants because they're new. I didn't want to not bring them. So the Tree Runners are called Coronath's Leaf Runners, and you can see them deployed here. They've got the command group at the front. Behind them is the Arch-Revenant, then we've got the Vindictors and the Knight Arcanum next to the arcane terrain piece. The Knight Arcanum will be the general. She'll have Master of Magic, so I can reroll 1 casting and unbinding roll per turn. She'll also have Flaming Weapon, and my artifact is going on the Arch-Revenant, who will have the Vial of Manticore Venom for her glaive, and I've also picked the Inspired Triumph.
And as the scenario states, I get to choose who goes first, and I think I will go first. See if I can build an early lead and get some spells off as well. So, Destruction turn 1. So, heroic actions. Killer Boss got heroic leadership, but one of the Stormcast heroes didn't, but the Killer Boss did fail his Skilled Leader role. And the Shaman is going to hand out a potion, I think, to the Gut Rippers for +1 save, and then he will try and cast Mystic Shield, which he gets with a 6.
I'll try and unbind with the Knight Arcanum. I get to re-roll it for Master of Magic if I fail. Alright, 9, I don't need to.
It's going to be a quick turn 1. I'm just going to move up a little bit, just enough to get in range of both of the objectives, so I will take control of them. I have no shooting and no charging, so I will score 3 victory points for holding both the objectives, and that's more than the Stormcast. But that does mean that we will get to move both of these objectives up to 6 inches. So these Duardin contraptions have all decided to move towards the Stormcast. That's awfully convenient for them. And I also forgot to mention my dirty trick is going to be Noisy Racket, and that one member of the Tree-Revenants is actually set up next to a deadly terrain piece, but right off camera and he didn't get a 1, so they're all fine. And we can head into Stormcast turn 1. So both gain a command point. Killer Boss failed heroic leadership, Tree-Revenant got hers.
And then I'll try and cast Blades of the Heavens, since I get +1 to the casting roll, so I'll need to roll a 6. Ooh, we get a 10.
Yeah, gonna try and unbind. Need a big roll. No.
We'll put it on the Gut Rippers, so D3 mortal wounds. 1. And then for movement, the Vindictors have moved forward as far as they can. It's a long charge to the Gut Rippers, but it might be worth it if it goes off. The Arch-Revenant flew over them to stand near Objective 2, the Knight Arcanum just following the Vindictors, and the Tree-Revenants used their waypipes to essentially teleport over to Objective 2. So obviously more than 9 inches away from any enemy units, although we're not getting 9 inches away, as I don't want them to charge yet. But we will charge with the Vindictors, obviously there's no shooting. So it will be a 9 they need. They get a 7, but I will spend a command point. Yeah, I'll just use my heroic leadership one. And we we still failed. But that is it. I'm not going to try any more charges, so I will score objectives at the end of my turn, but then they will get to move back again, I suspect.
So yes, apparently these contraptions don't want to be caught by anyone. They're heading back towards the Crawl Boys. Who could have seen that coming? But that will be it for the first battle round. 3 victory points apiece. And we'll be rolling off for priority of battle round 2. Well, we both got 1, but technically I had priority in the first turn because I were to choose, so I will choose to go first in battle round 2. Destruction turn 2. So, Killer Boss got Heroic Leadership, didn't get Skilled Leadership, and the Arch-Revenant failed Heroic Leadership as well. The Shaman will give the Gut Rippers a poison and try and cast Mystic Shield, I suppose. He fails with a 4. So I've moved everyone up. The Stormcast did redeploy the Vindictors, although it is a little bit cramped where they are. I can't quite get away from everyone. It does make the Sloggoths charge a little harder. No shooting, so we'll be on to the charge phase. I'll do the Gut Rippers first. They are the most important one, I think. So hopefully the Gut Rippers don't whiff. They did not, they get an 8. That's definitely enough. So the Gut Rippers are going to go in like that. I'll do the Sloggoth next. And actually, before I roll for the Sloggoth, Will has reminded me about Scare Shield, so I will use it on the Vindictors. I only rolled a 4, so even with +2 that's not enough. And then the Sloggoth's charge roll is a 10, so it's definitely in. And I'll roll for the Killer Bosses now, because I don't think the Sloggoth will make his charge worse. He gets a 6, I think that might be enough as well. So there you can see the Sloggoth and the Killer Boss both getting into the Vindictors as well.
And at the start of the combat phase, I get to pick what the Arch-Revenant's going to do. She's going to give herself an extra attack with a glaive.
Yep, that's the one with the Vial of Manticore Venom on it as well. And then I'll do the Gut Rippers first. I'll put all their attacks on the Vindictors.
And they will issue all that defense to themselves.
So 21 attacks from the Gut Rippers, hitting on 3s because the Sloggoth is nearby, and 5s do mortal wounds because of the poison from the Shaman. Quite a few mortal wounds actually, we needed that poison. Yeah, so not a great roll, we got 4 mortal wounds and 7 regular hits. These wound on 4s, getting 3 more.
So we'll have a 2+ save against those because of all our defense, which we make all of, but we still lose 2 whole Vindictors from the mortal wounds. The Vindictors to go, because otherwise they're going to get wrecked, and they're going to pile in slightly and put all their attacks on the Gut Rippers. And
I'll use all-out defense on the Gut Rippers, using the Killer Boss's free command point.
So then we have 7 attacks hitting on 3s, 6s to wounds instead. No 6s, but 5 hits. With 3s to wound, because we're around 2 now, 3.
-1 is cancelled out by all-out defense, so it's 3 5+ saves. I made 1, so we lose 1 Gut Ripper. We'll do the Killer Boss next, because there's a chance he might get smacked by the Night Arcanum stick, and he'll attack the Vindictors, obviously. So he has 4 attacks on 2s, because the Sloggoth, 6s do mortal wounds instead. So obviously he manages 2 hits. And 3s to wound, getting 2 wounds at -1.
It's back to 3s. We fail 1, so we'll kill 1.
We'll kill 1. And then Knee Biter has 3 attacks on 3s. He gets a mortal wound and a hit. This wound's on a 4. No. So there's a mortal wound as well.
Next I've piled in the Night Arcanum. She is going to attack the Gut Rippers as well. She can hit them through with a weapon range. She will issue all that attack to herself as well. So it gives her 3 attacks on 2s. No, she still managed to miss 1, and winning on 4s. Nothing.
My last pick is the Sloggoth, and it's going to pile in around, so it's just about in range of the Vindictors, because I quite like to finish them off. So 4 attacks from the crew on 3s, getting 3, and 4s, getting 1.
2+, which remain.
And the claws on 2s, that will hit, and 3s, 3 wounds at -1.
3s. Made them all. I've just got the Arch-Revenant who's piled in slightly, obviously all attacks on the Gut Rippers as well. 5 attacks with the glaive because she gave herself an extra 1 on 3s, no, only 2. Winning on 2s though because of the Manticore Venom.
Yep.
Just managed 2.
It's -2 rend, so they've got a 6+ save thanks to all-out defense. Oh, I made 1, so there's only 1 damage, so I will kill the wounded one.
Yeah, and then D3 attacks from the pincers. 1, which hits on a 4.
Yep.
It failed.
And finally, at the end, the Sloggoth gets a chance to try and snatch one of the Vindictors, and he'll try and snatch the Prime. So I'm looking for a 4+. No. And then also in the Battletop phase, I'll spend a command point to keep the Gut Rippers around.
But the Vindictors lost 3, and I don't have a command point, so we do have to roll. 5, I think they're all right. That makes 8, and they've got the banner, so they're okay.
Bravery 8 with the banner. And I do control the objectives, although I think only Knee Bite is really in range of Objective 1. I definitely control Objective 2, so I will score 3 more victory points, and we'll see where they scuttle off to. So this is here's the state of the board at the end of destruction turn 2 on to order turn 2. So both getting a command point, and it's going to be the killer boss and the Knight Arcanum's finest hours.
And then the Knight Arcanum is going to try and cast Arcane Bolt. She's not within range of the Arcane Terrain feature anymore, so we will need a 5, which we get. I will choose to re-roll that even though it's successful to try and get a higher roll, so it's hard to unbind. And we get a 4 and fail. So both of my heroes are staying in melee, but the Vindictors have retreated and the Tree-Revenants have moved up. Go straight to the charge phase because they will declare a charge. So they need a 3, they get a 4. Start the combat phase, the Arch-Revenant will give herself an extra attack with their glaive again, but I'm going to pick the Tree-Revenants to go first, and they will use their ability to automatically receive all-out attack or defense. I'll go for all-out attack, obviously, so it doesn't cost me a command point and nobody needs to issue it.
Yeah, and it's not terribly clear whether that means that the Arch-Revenant could issue all-out to attack to them for free, so we're just going to assume that they're doing it, effectively they're just receiving the command because it's their memories rather than it being issued as such.
They can pile it up to 6 inches, but they don't need to, just managing to get everybody in range and stay out of 3 of the Chamon.
Yeah, just to get them, all of them in range of the Gut Rippers, and I'm going to have the Gut Rippers issue all out of defense themselves.
I'm also going to use my Triumph to give them +1 to wound for this phase. So we'll start with the Scion, who has the better weapon, the Protector Glaive. Only 2 attacks, but these will be hitting on 3s because of all-out attack. They both hit, and they'll be winning on 2s because of the Triumph. They both wound.
So -1 rend, so back to a 5+. I made 1, that's important because it's 2 damage.
And then 8 attacks from the regular ones that are the same, so 3s to hit, and we get 6, and 2s to wound. Now they all wound, these are only 1 damage though.
Yeah, but still 5+ saves. Made 1 again, so lose 2 more Gut Rippers.
So 7 damage in total.
Yeah. So I'll pick the Gut Rippers to go for I'm going to pick the Gut Rippers to go before the Arch Revenant kills anymore, and they're going to attack the Tree Revenants to reduce more of the order numbers. 11 attacks on 3s because of the Slogoth, and 5s are mortal wounds instead. That's a bit better than last time. So actually that's 8 hits, well 8 mortal wounds and no regular hits. So just 1 Tree Revenant left. So just the Scion left of the Tree Revenants.
And then I'll pick the Knight Arcanum to go. She'll attack the killer boss. So 3 attacks on 3s, 2 hits, wounding on 3s because it's her finest hour. 1.
+1 rend.
But you've got +1 for finest.
Yep, so 3+ save. Made it. I'll pick the killer boss to go, and he's not going to pile in. I could potentially pile in to get to objective 2, but I think I'll just try and chop up the Knight Arcanum. 4 attacks on 2, 6s are mortal wounds. Oh, we got 6. And 2 hits, he's improving. And these hit on wound on 2s, so he got 1.
But she has finest hour, so she'll be saving on a 3, which she does, so she just takes 2 wounds.
Yeah, and then Knee Biter, 3 attacks on 3s, gets 2 hits, and 3s, because it's his finest hour too, he gets a wound.
And we save.
Oh.
Now I've just got the Arch Revenant left, who's obviously attacking the Gut Rippers. Glaive has 5 attacks again on 3s. That's 4. And 3s to wound. 4. -1.
That's 2, but -1 with all-out defense, so 6s to save. Failed, so that's 2 more dead. And the pincers
get 3 attacks this time, which hit on 4s. Only 1, but wounds on a 3.
Yeah.
Does, no render.
4+. No, it's D3 damage. Could be a big one.
All 3.
Ooh,
so that's 7 damage total, I think. Was it? Was it 6?
Yeah, 7 in total.
Yeah.
Both looking thin on the ground, but I've got the Slogoth next. And you know what, I'll use my Triumph now. I can't really think of any other time to use it. So it has +1 to wound as well. So 4 attacks from the crew on 3s. And I get 1. Wounds on a 3. It does.
2+ save. Yes.
And the claws on 2s get 3. And 2s get 3.
3s. Oh, we're alright.
Well, that will be it for combat. In the Battletop phase, I'll spend a command point to keep the Gut Ripper boss around.
And I will spend mine to keep the Scion around.
And then I will stay in control of Objective 1, but the Stormcast will control Objective 2 and gain a victory point. But it does mean I get to move Objective 2. So it's just going to scuttle to the other side of the combat. But that will be the end for Battleground 2. It's currently 6 victory points to 4 for the Forces of Destruction. And we'll be rolling off. Oh. I won the roll-off. I'm definitely going to go first. On to Destruction turn 3. Heroic actions all failed and not very good at leadership over here. But the Stormcast are going to try and rally those Vindictors.
Yep, because they're not in melee at the moment. So 3 dice. Looking for 6s. Oh, wow.
Oh, they're back in. And otherwise, spell casting, we're going to try and cast Arcane Bolt, I think. Getting it with a 10.
So I need an 11 to unbind, which I don't, but I can re-roll because of Master of Magic. Oh, 10, nearly.
Which only she was next to the skeleton. Yeah, and the Shaman's going to give himself a poison as well, because there's nothing in range for that. So in my movement phase, the Gut Ripper boss is going to fall back, while the Shaman has moved a little bit, hopefully to gain a range, and to get to once he charges, he can do some arcane bolting. And then as a response to the Gut Ripper moving, the Vindictor's redeployed once again, although only got 2 inches. That does get them a little bit closer, does help them cover the Sylvaneth units. But in the charge phase, the Shaman will try and charge. He's going to be very brave. And he succeeds with a 5. That gets him about where I want him to go. So the Shaman gets to there, he's just out of range of the Arch-Revenant, and he is going to use Arcane Bolt on the Vindictors. So this will be D3 mortal wounds, just 1, but that'll kill the banner at the very least.
Start the fight phase. The Arch-Revenant is just within 3 of the killer boss, so she'll give herself an extra attack with the glaive, so that she can potentially pile in.
Yeah, but I'm actually going to pick the Shaman to go first, see if I can kill off that Tree-Revenant.
The Scion will use a free all-out defense on himself, though.
Makes sense. So Shaman's got 2 attacks, hitting on 2s, I believe, with his staff because of the sloth, but 5s are mortal wounds because of his poison. So that is 1 hit. It wounds on a 3. It does. I think it's -1 rend. So 5.
So 5 plus save, which...
D3 damage, I think. It's been a long time since he's been in melee. 1. So it's going to be down to Stugit, who hit once.
Yeah, he doesn't have 5s, does he?
He does, yeah. He has poison weapons, but I rolled a 2 and 3. He gets a wound. 4 plus save for the Tree-Revenant. Oh, he lives.
So I'll pick the Knight Arcanum before she gets bludgeoned. Going to attack the killer boss. So 3 attacks on 3s. And they all hit, she's getting better. And winning on 4s. Still looking to manage 1 wound though.
4 plus save. Nope.
D3 damage. 1.
And ignoring on a 6. No. I'll do the slog off from the Knight Arcanum. 4 attacks from the crew. On 3s, getting 1 again. And 4s gets wound. No rend though.
Saved.
And the claws on 2s, getting 3. And 3s, getting 2.
And failed to save.
Down to 2 wounds.
So I'll do the Tree-Revenant Scion next. Might as well stay where he is. Axe, which hit on 4s, but they do, and 3 on 3s. Nothing.
Phew. That is 1 very lucky Shaman, and the killer boss isn't going to pile in. He can't quite pile in to get around and engage the Vindictors, so I'm just going to attack the Knight Arcanum. So 4 attacks on 2s, 6s on mortal wounds. Well, he hit 4 times, but no mortal wounds. And 3s, 2.
4 plus save though. Oh, she's dead.
There you go.
The Arch-Revenant has piled in towards the killer boss, but away from the slog-off, but we are within an inch of the killer boss. And she'll issue all-out attack to herself because I don't need that command point for anything anymore. So she gets 6 attacks with her glaive thanks to her special ability.
The killer boss will issue all-out defense himself.
2s to hit with the glaive. Still managed to miss twice. And 3s to wound. Oh, 4 6s.
2s because of the Manticle Venom, but...
Oh yeah, 2s for the Manticle Venom, but anyway, 4 6s.
-2 rend goes to a 4 plus save. We've made 2. Only 1 damage, and we don't ignore any, so it's down to 3.
Yeah, and the tail has D3 plus 1 attacks. Yep. 2.
3s.
3s because of all that attack, and then this doesn't have Manticle Venom, so it only wounds once.
Yeah, no rend, so a 2 plus save. Made it. Phew. Well, the Gut Ripper boss is now in range, gets 3 attacks on 4s, 6s are mortal wounds. Oh, he got a hit on... 3s to hit because of the slog off, so that's a mortal wound, and 2 hits. They get another wound on the Arch-Revenant.
Which I think I saved with a 4.
Yep.
So we just take a mortal wound. Finally, we can get 2 Vindictors in range of the Shaman, so we'll poke him. So 4 attacks on 3, 6 do mortal wounds instead. We've got a mortal wound.
He's got 3 6 plus saves. Well, he made 1. Takes 3 damage, down to 3. Yeah, so we have to do quite a bit of thinking here because it's almost as if objectives aren't designed to be quite this close to each other, and I don't think there's any rule in the mission that says they can't be this close, but due to the way objective control works, we have to choose which objective each model counts towards, or each unit counts towards. So I'm actually going to count all my models towards objective 2, which means I'll take control of it. So that does mean that the Stormcast will be able to move objective 2, but by doing so, and Will has the choice to take objective 1 because again it's not very clear in what order we do this in as well. But the way it's going to work out is I'm going to take control of objective 2, which means that the Stormcast will be able to move it, but the Stormcast will take control of objective 1, which means it doesn't move, so hopefully in my turn I can take it back.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to reduce the number of victory points, but I do get to move objective 2 back at this. I could let the destruction have both, so I could move both objectives, but then they gain a lot of victory points, and then I could move them, take them, get points myself, but then they would go straight back again in the next turn. So I don't know if this is the best option, but that's what we're going to do.
I'll go up to 7 victory points, and we'll come back after objective 2 has been moved.
So I've chosen to send that over behind the Vindictors.
Well, we're on to order turn 3. Heroic actions. Despite the general being dead, the Arch Revenant failed to generate a command point, whereas the killer boss did, so no command points fall. And because the general's dead, the Stormcast don't get another command point either.
No, so there's no command points for this turn, and I'm not going to retreat anybody. The Tree-Revenant Scion cannot actually retreat because there's nowhere for him to go that's outside of engagement range of something. His move isn't long enough. And the Arch Revenant will stay in melee for now as well, because it's not currently in range of a Slogoth, so it's not terrible. So we'll actually be straight to the combat phase, where the Arch Revenant will do the 4+ ward on herself, but I will pick the Vindictors to fight first, attacking the Chamon.
Yeah, and I'll use my free command point straight away to issue... Oh no, actually I'll spend a command point to issue all-out defense to the Chamon.
So you can get all of them in range now, so we've got 7 attacks on 3s, 6s do mortal wounds. There's 1 mortal wound, and everything else hits. And 3s to wound, all 5.
Gonna have to make a lot of saves. 5 pluses. Oh, he takes 4 damage and dies. Oof. Well, I'll pick the killer boss to go, I suppose, attacking the Arch Revenant. So, 4 attacks on 2, 6s are mortal wounds. Ooh, he got a good roll for one. There's 2 mortal wounding hits, and these 2 regular hits wound on 3s. They wound as well, -1.
So 5s to save. Oh dear, we're taking 8 damage already.
Yeah.
I'll just do the wards now before we do knee biter. See if we live. Oh, we do actually. So we actually only take 2 wounds so far.
And knee biter gets 2 hits and 1 wound.
With a 4 save, failed. So another ward, made. So actually only 2 damage. So then we'll do the Arch Revenant and put everything on the killer boss. 4 attacks with the glaive. We get 3 hits. And only 1 wound though. And that's only thanks to the Manticore Venom.
So -2 is a 5+ save. Nope. Ignoring on a 6. Nope.
Pincers get 1 attack, which hit and wounded.
3+. Made it. Phew. And a 2 on the killer boss. And the Gut Ripper boss, who is somehow still alive. 3 attacks on 3s, 6s are mortal wounds. Gets a hit. And it wounded.
4+. Nope. Ward. Yes.
Like last time, I'm going to put all of my models on objective 1 so we take control of it, whereas the Stormcast, or the Order, will hold objective 2, so they'll go up to 5 victory points and I'll get to move it. And it's scuttling off to that point there. But that's it for this battle round. To play for 7 to 5 as we're rolling off for priority.
Oh, I won it.
That was a good time to win it.
But I'm actually going to make Destruction go first. Just the position we're in, I think it actually makes more sense at this point. Okay,
so Destruction turn 4. So I've failed with Skill Leader and Heroic Leadership. It's going to be the Arch Revenant's finest hour.
And then I'm going to try and rally the Tree-Revenants. So they're 4 missing, and we get 1 back.
So the Gut Ripper boss and the Killer boss are going to fall back, and then that's going to be it for movement and no shooting. So the Slogoth will try and charge the Tree-Revenant. Slogoth's charge is a 7, so that's in. So he's just going to go in over objective 2, staying 3 inches away from the other order unit, and he's going to attack the Arch Revenant.
Who will issue all-out defense to herself. She'll issue all-out defense to herself, and I'll also use the ward.
So 4 attacks from the crew on 3s, getting 3, and 4s, getting 2. So this is a 3+.
Oh, we'll take a wound potentially. I did with the ward made.
And the claws on 2s, getting 3. And 3s is 3 more at -1.
So still 3s because of finest hour, and then we stack, so we save. And hitting back, the glaive, we only get 1 hit. Which wounds on the 3, yes, or 2 actually.
6+. Nope, takes the damage.
And pincers, 1 attack, which hit and wounded.
4+, yes. So it's down to 11. Well, and then I'll put all of my objective control on objective 1, because there would be 5 on the other one. So it does mean objective 1 will get to move, but I'll go up to 8 victory points. Arch Revenant succeeded on Heroic Leadership. I'm going to do Heroic Recovery with the Killer Boss. Can't remember exactly what his bravery is, but so Killer Boss is only bravery 7, so an 8 is a fail. And I'm also going to spend a command point to rally the Gut Rippers. 9 dead, looking for 6s. Hey, we've got 2.
I'm actually going to spend the Arch-Revenant's command point from Heroic Leadership to try and rally the Tree-Revenants as well. We get 1. So the now 3 Tree-Revenants have moved towards the Aurochs on the other side, and the Vindictors are just going to move up to the Slogoth. The Arch-Revenant will stay in melee, so we'll have some charges to do. Vindictors, they're into the Slogoth, and the Tree-Revenants are into something as well. So charges end up like this.
And the Gut Rippers are engaged, so they do get a chance to do Scare Shields on the Tree-Revenants. They roll... Oh, it's a 9, that's definitely enough to affect them, so it's a nice one to hit for the Tree-Revenants.
I'm going to pick the Tree-Revenants to go first, they're going to attack the Gut Rippers.
Yeah.
We'll use their free all-out attack on themselves.
I think I'll use all-out defense, see if I can keep some alive.
The Scion on 4s, they both still hit, and they both wound.
Oof. So 5s. Oh, it's important we made 1.
And 4 more attacks on 4s, only 1, which wounded.
And... oh, saved!
It was 1. Forgot to say, but the Arch-Revenant was going to do the ward save again.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the Slogoth, because certainly the Killer Boss is pretty safe. We'll attack the Arch-Revenant. So 4 attacks on the crew on 3s, getting 2. And 4s, getting 2.
4s, failed both. And, failed a ward at last, down to 2.
And the claws on 2s, getting 3. It is consistent, if nothing else. 3s, only 1. 5.
Failed to save though, so
2,
we need to pass
2
on
damage.
At least 1 ward. We're down to 1. So the Arch-Revenant on the Slogoth, obviously. The Spear, they all hit. On the box, 3 wounds. 4 wounds because of the Magical Venom.
6s. No, it takes 4 damage, it's down to 7.
And the Pincers, 1 attack again, which missed.
I'll do the Killer Boss. He's going to pile in around so he can get in range of the Arch-Revenant. Put his Boss Hacker on the Arch-Revenant, and then Knee Biter will attack the Tree-Revenants. 4 attacks on 2s. Well, that is 4 mortal wounds and 2 hits. He's mad. Can he make that many wards again? And 1 wound from the weapon.
I made the save on that, but we're still taking 4 damage. Oh, it failed some wards. So the Arch-Revenant goes down at last.
And Knee Biter gets a hit. And didn't wound.
Lastly, I've got the Vindictors on the Slogoth. We get a mortal wound, but only 3 regular hits. Which turn into 2 more wounds.
So 2 5+ saves. I made 1, so it's 2 damage, it's down to 5. And then I've just got the Gut Rippers for 5 attacks on the Tree-Revenants on 3s. So that's just 3 hits. And 4s, 2 wounds.
5s to save, made 1, but the Scion will die.
And then at the end of the combat phase, the Slogoth can try and snatch a Vindictor. Try and snatch the Prime. No, not quite. I'm spending my command point to keep the Gut Rippers around.
But I have to make a test for the Tree-Revenants, and we're fine.
Right, this is getting awfully brain hurty. So Will decided to take control of Objective 1, so I've moved it already, whereas I'll take control of Objective 2. So we basically swap over, and that means the Order gain another victory point, so it's 8-6 for the destruction, and that's the end of the battle round. So rolling for priority.
Well, I've won, and I think I will definitely go first this time.
Yep.
The Killer Boss did generate a command point with Heroic Leadership. I only get 1 and no way of getting any more. And we have to stay in melee because we basically have to kill things in order to have any chance of winning. So we'll go straight to the fight phase. So we'll be straight to the combat phase where I'm going to do the Tree-Revenants first. They're going to put all their attacks on the 2 remaining Gut Rippers, and they'll use their free all-out attack.
Yeah, and I'll spend a command point. I'll use my free command point for all-out defense.
So 4 attacks. Oh no, we only get 1 hit. Oh, well, that's not gone very well then. It did wound though.
And 5+. No, you need to take a wound. And then the Slogoth will go.
Yeah, or all-out defense.
Yep, you can do that.
With the 1 command point I have.
Yep. 4 attacks from the crew. On 3s, get a 2. And 4s. Nope. And the claws. Get 3. And 3s. 3 wounds at -1.
So 3s with all-out defense. We fail 1 and lose a Vindictor.
That's important.
And the remaining ones get to attack back. They miss twice and don't get any mortal wounds. And only get 1 wound overall.
Which I saved. I'll just do all mine. I've got Killer Boss on the Tree-Revenants on 2s. And they all hit. And 3s. 2 wounds at -1. So that's 6s.
fail both, so they're all dead.
So with the Tree Remnants dead, what's going to happen is, at the end of this turn, I already control Objective 2, Killer Boss and the Slogoth can go on Objective 2, and the 2 Gut Rippers can go on Objective 1, so I'll take control of that. And technically, neither of them will move anyway, but the Stormcast aren't going to be gaining any victory points. So that will be a destruction victory for the first time in quite a while. I'll recap that for you now. That was the game for issue 43 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Well, how do you think that went?
It's difficult to say, really. It kind of hurt my head trying to figure out what to do all the time, and I think, to be honest, if I hadn't got a bit lucky with ward rolls and getting quite a few models back from Rally, then it would have been over rather sooner, because I think, I don't really know why I tried a 9-inch charge in turn 1 and then exposed myself to being charged by your whole army. Maybe that wasn't the point at which it all went wrong, but to be honest, I ended up behind in points, and then because of the weird objectives and stuff, it was then difficult to catch up.
Yeah, it was very confusing, and I'm pretty sure it just said you can move the objectives. There was no limit to where they could go. Probably would have to say they can't be within 6 of each other and stuff, so it shouldn't be quite as confusing. I think it felt like it had momentum, or they did have some, like getting some Vindictors back and getting the Arch Revenant just tanking a huge amount of damage in one go, I think kept you in the game. I definitely think I made the right choices for units. Just having 10 Gut Rippers, you really need the bodies to take all the objectives, although I don't think they were that much of a factor. And the Slogoth just has its big aura, and it's a big beefy frontline unit. So yeah, the Gut Rippers were definitely the correct choice over the Bolt Boys, I think. Molog and the Slogoth perhaps less clear cut.
No, I mean, the Slogoth didn't do all that much damage, but the +1 to hit aura is pretty handy for the entire army. Yeah, I mean, when it came to my choices, I think the Vindictors were the right choice because they were just tankier than the Vigilors, who would have got a bit of shooting, but then would have been overwhelmed in melee more quickly. Yeah, the Vindictors actually survived to be rallied, whereas the Vigilors might well have just died immediately. And obviously I was going to bring the Tree-Revenants because they were new. It's rather surprising that they gave us the option to not bring them, to be honest. But perhaps I just should have been a bit more circumspect with what would have happened if you went first in Battle Round 2 or 3. I think I also made a mistake in making you go first in Battle Round 4. I did that because the Arch Revenant was holding everything up, and I thought you wouldn't be able to get past her to get to the infantry units who could then sweep in and hopefully do some damage and claim the objectives. But what I didn't expect you to do was actually to retreat with the Killer Boss and the last remaining Gut Ripper. Probably should have gone first, picked her to fight, and tried to kill either one of those two. Yeah, I think possibly the turn before you had the opportunity to attack the Gut Ripper, because the Arch Revenant does actually have a long range with their lance, so she would have been able to pick him off. I think I did notice that and decided to try and attack the Killer Boss. Well, I think the Killer Boss was on 2 wounds, and he was pretty killable as well. So yeah. The Tree-Revenants themselves did okay. They are reasonably fragile, so you do kind of have to use them well. Their main advantage, I think, is mobility, which isn't really that evident on the board where there's not really that much space to move around in the first place. Because, yeah, the long pile-in can be handy for catching your opponent out, getting to a hero that they thought was safe or something, and also being able to teleport around the board is handy when you have a bit more space to play with. They look slow on paper, but if you have the Musician, and I think generally if you were playing Sylvaneth, you'd have Wildwoods to teleport them around, so they're probably a lot more mobile than they appear at first glance. But yeah, I think they just kind of have the same issue as Ilthari's Guardians, that I think they're going to be very vulnerable to missile fire. Although, that said, they being able to teleport around, they can harass backline units. And they do get the free all-out attack, which I think they kind of need because they only hit on 4 space. The damage output isn't amazing, and the durability isn't amazing. They're described in the lore as being the line infantry of the Sylvaneth, effectively, but actually the way the Sylvaneth play on the battlefield, you almost don't need a front line because your entire army can teleport all over the place, and if you do need something big and tanky, you actually try and use something else. The Tree-Revenants, interestingly, are much better as a sort of harassment and annoyance unit that can appear where you don't expect them to. Yeah, you wouldn't use them in the same way as you would a unit of Vindictors at all. No. I think they'd have a very bad time of it. Yeah, and you could also I would also be inclined to take a bigger unit than 5 if I unfortunately we only get 5. They probably would need to be in at least 10. The free command ability does save on your command points, which is always nice, and of course they do pair with the Arch Revenant. You can give them an extra attack if you do decide to spend that command point to give them all that attack. Yeah, it's not very clear whether that's the case. Might have to have a look on FAQs. They are really cool models, obviously. I'm not sure how. Presumably is a good saving. I think they do only come in sets of 5, so obviously a good saving. And again, I do really like all the Sylvaneth models, the mixture of the tree and the ghostly bits. But otherwise, not much more to say about this game or this issue or the Tree-Revenants. So as always, leave any comments, how you've been getting on and so forth. We know that 4th edition is coming soon, but we will carry on with the 3rd edition magazine. See how it goes. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.